we make way for Reginald Aloysius Miller the third.
In the building. The gang and the family, other than Paulie, is back together.
The band is back together.
The 5 heartbeats. The Jackson 5. We're all here.
Except
Can you
for
believe
Paulie.
it?
Yeah, Paulie joining us via satellite there.
It's all good.
Hey, Paul.
Reggie looks good. Reggie looks thin. He's got the plum sweater vest on. Tight.
Hold on, let me get it. Theodore, since everyone. Theodore, my friend.
You look great, though.
Thank you.
You look like you're close to playing weight right now.
Well, looking at that game last night, looks like
you could have played.
The Clippers could have used some outside shooting.
Yes, they could have. By the way, you can watch on NBCSN and Audience Channel 239 DirecTV. Is that a collapse? How would you characterize what the Clippers did up 3-1?
Collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Epic fail. But look, instead of focusing on the Clippers, because that's the easy thing to do. Of course, all talk radio, and everyone's going to say the Clippers blew it, up 3-1, up 19 in the third at home in Game 6. They blew it. How about let's give a lot of props to Houston, because other than those 12 to 15 guys in that locker room and the coaching staff, no one believed Houston was going to be able to come back. They did. The insertion of Josh Smith into the starting lineup, Kevin McHale made the moves. He pulled the right plugs, and they found a way to win.
Yeah, but you can talk about Houston. We have a couple of days to talk about Houston. The Clippers, the fact that it just ended yesterday, you're up 3-1. We're waiting for one of the worst franchises in all of sports to take that next step. For Chris Paul to take that next step. Blake Griffin take that next step. Doc Rivers has already taken that next step.
Right.
You have new management here. We got away from Donald Sterling. This was going to be the feel-good hit of the summer.
Call it the Clipper curse, a witch's brew, a hex, whatever. It happened. And I know people are saying if it would have been anyone else but Doc Rivers coaching that team, I mean, it would be all hell would have broken loose.
Is this a fireable offense with another coach who's less decorated?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Other than Popovich and Doc Rivers, maybe Spoelstra, maybe Carlisle a little bit, all 4 of those guys have chips, right? To be up 3-1, to be up 19, to be up 17 in your building, there's no excuse. Of course, you're going to look at Doc, which is unfair, but he put up this team together. He's his own boss, really, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's the general manager too. So you got to you're going to look at Doc. It's unfair because, in my opinion, Doc and Popovich are the best coaches. Those are 2 guys I would love to have played for. But you're going to look at the coach first, and then you're going to start looking at the roster here. The roster was kind of patched together, and that bench, it didn't get them through.
But do you look at, Chris Paul's 30, going to be 30.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Griffin had sort of taken that next step, but then fourth quarter, it kind of disappeared.
Too tired, though. You've got to find a break for these guys.
But if you know that he's going to be tired in the fourth quarter, you have to limit his minutes somewhere to have him.
Where?
When you're up 19, you're up 13. I hope that he would get a little bit of a break. But that's
okay, but that goes to the bench.
I know. Yeah.
That goes to the bench.
Yes. Yeah, we had talked about that earlier in the season, that the bench would probably come back to haunt them.
And it did.
Yeah.
We were praising them. Austin Rivers played great.
Yeah, he did.
Had key moments in that San Antonio series, played great in this series. Big Baby was hurt in that San Antonio, twisted his ankle. But other than at the defensive end, what did he really do for you? Spencer Hawes, I mean, they gave him a boatload of money expecting him to be that big off the bench.
Yeah.
Where was he? So where is Blake going to get that break, get that breather, 2 or 3 minutes to rest? I think in the fourth quarter, he was gassed.
He's Reggie Miller joining us here as the fifth den end.
I love the sounding of that. I love number one, people, by the way, you didn't play basketball at all?
I did. High school, JV at Dartmouth.
I mean, you look tall, but you look goofy tall.
Oh, definitely goofy tall.
Okay, all right. Taller than I thought.
What NBA player does he remind you of?
I would say...
This can't be good.
I would say he's like Andre Bargnani. He looks good. He looks like a number 1 pick. But once you see his game, you're like, come on, man. That dude was number 1?
Yeah.
Wow. I thought you were going to give me like Randy Brewer or one of those guys.
Yeah, you look better than Randy Brewer. No offense to Randy.
What about Darko?
No, I like Bargnani.
Yeah.
I like Bargnani.
Can you guys cut that clip and put it on my reel, by
I
the
said
way?
you look like Bargnani. You don't have the game like Bargnani.
How many times? When's the last time you were on Letterman?
Oh, wow.
Back when you were playing?
Yeah, I think my last year, my retirement year was the last.
Okay.
last
So
time I was on.
was he a Pacer fan since
Oh,
he's from Indiana?
He's always been a Pacer fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
How intimidating was Letterman?
If you know his humor, see, the thing about it, his mom lived like 10 minutes away. So I would always see her at Pacer games and see her in the grocery store or whatever. So we built up a relationship. So every time I knew I was going on, I would call her up and say, hey, I'm getting ready to go on your son's show. Is there anything you need for me to take to him and things like that? So she would bake chocolate chip cookies and I would take him to dance. So he and I had that special relationship because of that Hoosier life.
So he didn't rough you up at all?
No, not at all. He was cool. But he can get after you.
Oh,
a little
yeah,
bit.
he can. Yeah, he's the last guy who can instill fear in you on those shows. Because most of the shows, I mean, you were on Kimmel recently, right? Mm-hmm. Is there go-to stories when you're on these shows where, because they pre-interview you.
They do.
When you go on Kimmel or Letterman, a producer will say, all right, Reg, what about this and this and this? What about LeBron?
And it's funny. I found when you do the pre-interviews and they get the background story, most of them really never go there. They always will go, I mean, they know the stories, but it's the side stories which they really want. So they have the backstory. Like I was on Kimmel and we kind of talked about the Jordan and the trash talk and all that. He knows that the trash talking went on, but he wanted to know what the story was and how it kind of evolved.
But there are a lot of stories that you have.
Yeah.
And a lot of stories that you will never tell, at least publicly.
True. Like we have some stories of the Final Four in Indiana,
yeah.
when we were in the clubs together,
Yeah.
Mark Jackson and ourselves,
Yeah.
and we were talking real, like, the best of, and we kind of...
That was when I first met Reg and Mark Jackson. Now, I'd covered Mark when he was at St. John's. In fact, I interviewed him when he was a freshman at St. John's.
Wow.
Because they said, we can't give you... We'll give you Chris, but you have to interview Mark. So I actually had to interview Mark Jackson.
He would love that story.
To get an interview
to get with Chris Mullen.
To get Chris, yeah, they wanted Mark to get some publicity.
Right.
So I interviewed
A
Mark.
city kid needed pub at St. John's.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had to talk to Mark to get to Chris Mullen. And then we go to Indiana. And Reggie and Mark, best friends, but couldn't be more opposite. And I would bring up, you guys were like, okay, Montana or Marino? And then I'd say, well, I'd probably take Montana. Oh!
No, what are you talking about, Dan? Are you crazy? What about X, Y, and Z?
And then you had Holyfield and Tyson.
And we had Rod Carew and Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, they were like,
I mean,
and you never agreed on anything.
No.
And that was what it was so
that
funny.
was the beauty of our relationship. We could never get along in terms of any type of sports, who was best, who wasn't. But on the court, we meshed for some odd reason. I mean, we got one another. And I think that's what made us special, playing together in the backcourt.
Who were you careful about telling a story about, whether it's a teammate or an opponent?
Well, in today's age, you got to be real careful when you talk about specific things that happen on the court, because everything lives in today's digital age.
Yeah, social media. Yeah.
So people will be like, it didn't go down that way. I remember you said this about this person. You didn't really say that. So you just got to be careful in telling your stories and make sure the facts are there.
When did the league become friendly? When everybody loved each other?
Well, remember, most of these kids now played AAU basketball. They grew up together playing AAU basketball.
Yeah.
So they've played against one another. They played with one another. And it's almost like the buddy system. In the 80s, early 80s and late 90s, that wasn't the case. AAU wasn't as big as it is now. So the way I was taught from Magic, Byron Scott, Michael Cooper, when I was at UCLA, it was all about hating the Celtics. There was no love lost. You don't help anyone off the floor. You don't socialize with anyone before or after the game. Your band of brothers are the guys in your locker room, and you deal with them. You don't deal with any other teams. You might shake their hands before the game, but that's it. Don't be social friends with anyone.
But you're not nervous if you tell a story about Jordan?
Well, if it's true.
Yeah, but you don't tell everything that you experienced.
Well, I tell the things that are relatable to people because Jordan was tough too. I mean, he was a hard ass. Can you say that? Yeah, he was a hard ass. And
he strikes me as you don't speak out of school talking about Jordan unless it's something that props him up.
Look, he's the only guy, I will say this. I got in a fight with Michael Jordan in my building. He instigated it. He took the swing, and I get kicked out. I mean, where's the logic in that? You know, I mean, I like to ruffle feathers. I didn't care who they were, including Michael Jordan. So, look.
Jordan didn't hit you, right?
He might have, you know, I did the Mayweather shoulder thing a little bit. He may have grazed.
Did you know it was coming?
Well, I knew once we started to go, yeah. See, usually people say fight, and you wait for someone to break it up. I'm waiting for someone to come break it up, and we kept getting closer and closer, and okay, it's going to go down. So I grabbed at him. He swung at me, maybe connected, and then the officials huddle up in Marcus Square Arena. I've been cool if both of us would have been, you know, kicked out. I get ejected. He goes on to score 42. He probably would have had 45 if I would have stayed in the game. But he gets 42 and I get kicked out. I'm like, how does that happen?
But did you throw a punch?
I might have. We both threw punches though.
Paulie, you're looking at it right now. Is Reg throwing a punch?
I'm watching a video, and they're kind of like arm in arm. They're so close to each other, like chin to chin. Mm-hmm. And Mike kind of swipes at Reggie's face with almost like
it looked like he's trying to scratch
and then
you.
Reg on the pullback gets a pretty nice swing in there and just barely connected.
Wait a minute. Okay, so he scratches, and you're saying I swing. Come on now, Paulie.
Take it as a compliment.
Okay,
you didn't scratch.
Hold on, Paulie.
Yeah, Jordan had to resort to scratching you, Reg.
God. You see these guns?
No.
No, me either. He wasn't scared of these either. I know.
The one guy, though, that if he wanted a piece of you, that you would have run.
I think I've told you this before. Alvin Robertson.
Oh, yeah. He's scary. But Mark, my story, you know what? We'll take a break here because the Mark Jackson story about Alvin Robertson is...
Yeah.
And Mark's not afraid of anybody.
No.
And he was afraid of Alvin Robertson. In fact, last time we brought up Alvin's name, I think he just got out of jail. And Mark was nervous that Alvin just got out. All right, we'll come back. Reggie's with us the entire hour. We'll get to your phone calls as well.
Oh, I'm in the building.
Coming up on 18 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. I could get used to this. Live from Los Angeles. Tomorrow, Rick Neuheisel joins us in studio. Jerry Ferrara, Entourage movie coming out. Kevin Frazier from Entertainment Tonight will also stop by. Reggie Miller here for the full hour. We were talking about the guy that scared every NBA player, and he was only 6'4". Alvin Robertson played for the Spurs, played for a few teams. I think Milwaukee. And Mark Jackson, who grew up in a really tough section of New York. And Mark said that Alvin was a guy that he was a little nervous around. He was on the same team with Alvin, and he said they were playing dice, I think. And he knew that Alvin was cheating. He had crooked dice. No one would call Alvin on it. So Mark said he lost all of his money, but no one was going to say to Alvin, you're playing with crooked dice, man. Did you have a moment with Alvin Robertson?
We had a few elbows. Words were never exchanged. Looks. But see, you didn't want to look at Alvin too long. So you would look like how I'm looking at you, and then your eyes would kind of see, and you never wanted to do that because you never want to be perceived as a punk. But with Alvin, you kind of looked and was like, "Hey, ref, come on now. What the heck is going on here? Call him a foul." And he would be like, giving you that. I mean, it was all black eyes, and looking at that picture that I just seen, Alvin, I'm sorry. Hey, you and I are cool, bro. Right? We're cool. I apologize for anything I may have done back when we played and what I may say on this show.
Wasn't Oakley a tough guy?
Yeah, but Oakley was the kind of guy you love to play with, along like with Lambier. I wish I could have played with Charles Oakley.
You liked Lambier?
I wish I could have played with him. I didn't like him, but he's one of those players that you hated to play against, but you wish he was on your team.
He was a smart guy to understand how to instigate.
Yeah,
And
that was the perfect team for him because Isaiah really molded him. They molded one another, but Isaiah, I mean, he was so smart. See, with the Bad Boys, it was the play after the play. They invented that. So after a foul happened, if Lambeer hit you one time, a horn would come over after the whistle is blown and you're walking to the free throw line and give you an elbow. It's the play after the play. They invented that.
was it a better NBA there, or is it just our memories of it made it better?
Well, obviously, we're all old school and we remember the battles, the Jordan rules versus, Chuck Daly and the Bad Boys. It's, the Knicks versus Jordan, us versus the Knicks, the Lakers versus Boston. I mean, we have great memories of those, and the younger generations, they can't even remember those days.
Could you have the Jordan rules now?
No.
If there was Steph Curry rules, would the NBA allow him to get beat up the way Jordan did?
Absolutely not. They want more flow. They want more offense. Back then, the games were 85 to 90, 90 to 95. Defense was your championships were dedicated on defense. And,
what if Jordan got drafted by Portland?
I think we would be looking at Portland in a different light. Because I'm trying to think who else was on that team at the time. Clyde was there.
Jim Paxson.
Right. Who were their bigs?
Was
Duckworth there then?
Duck might have been there, or he eventually got there. I don't think he was.
Was Kersey there?
Jerome Kersey. You had, who's your point guard?
Terry
Porter. That's a pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Michael Thompson.
Now remember,
Calvin
Mike
Nat.
didn't start to win till his 8th season. All right, that's when he won his.
But
first
he was on a bad team.
Oh, yeah.
He was basically a highlight
Was
reel.
Portland a better team than Chicago at the time?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So he might have understood what he just got out of at North Carolina, where he goes to the NBA and he's on a good team.
But you can't fault a general manager for going big. That's what this league has always been. Everything was played in the paint. So you can't fault them going with Sam Bowie because at the time, Sam Bowie was considered the best center in the game coming out of Kentucky. So, of course, in hindsight, we're looking back at Michael Jordan as the greatest ever.
Yeah, but my problem is they missed on Olajuwon, right?
No, Olajuwon went 1.
So Portland.
And then Bowie went 2, and then Jordan went 3. Am I correct on that? Yeah.
Okay.
So Olajuwon went number 1.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right.
Because I was going to say, if they messed that up, where you went big
Right.
and you went the wrong big.
Right.
But, the whole draft process is interesting. But it's now you're taking these kids, like you got guys who got eight points a game on Kentucky are going to be a lottery pick.
But it's funny because I was reading like Stanley Johnson out of the Arizona Wildcats and D'Angelo Russell out of Ohio State. I was reading comments, and they're saying, I'm the best player in the draft. How are you going to say you're the best player in the draft and you average 10 points a game? I mean, D'Angelo Russell, he's a bad boy. I like him, and I had a chance to see both of them during the tournament calling their games. But to say you're the best player in the draft when really we've only seen you for 30 games.
But imagine if a team was drafting you and you averaged, 5 points a game in your freshman year.
Right.
But to look at you and say, he's going to project into something. And that's what we're looking at now. And you average 15 as a sophomore. So then we started to see something. But to just take you off your freshman year.
Potential is good, but potential gets general managers and coaches fired.
Yeah.
And that's the problem because you're hoping and you're waiting. And now with the rookie structure, you're really locked into 3 or 4 years. So you're hoping within those 3 or 4 years, these young guys that are 18 and 19 years old, they pan out.
Do you ever go to a club and see the team you're playing out at the club? Whether you're on the road
So you're on
or
the
at
road
home?
or at home?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, it's not like the Sharks and Jets or anything. Do you socialize? Do you send a drink over?
No. I mean, you most of the time, if I saw someone out at a club, if I'm on the road or at home, you say your pleasantries and then you go your own business. You never wanted to hang out. I never wanted to hang out with anyone from the Knicks, from the Bull. That just wasn't me. I wanted to hang out with my teammates. That's all that mattered to me.
Who was first team all club?
On our team?
Well,
obviously Dennis Rodman, right?
Yeah.
Okay, he would be first team all club.
Barkley?
Charles would be, Charles is first team all club, yeah. Who else used to have a really? Jack Haley was probably Probably be the coach of that team, right? Because he knew how to manage people's personalities.
Did Jack come off the bench even at the club?
Oh, definitely. Jack would save people at the club. Jack knew how to have a good time. Yeah, but I would say.
Did you ever go out with Rodman?
I never went out with him, but I would be at the same place he would be at, like during the summer here in L.A.
Okay, but never during the season where.
No, never.
Because Dennis went deep.
Dennis would still be partying up until the bus is leaving at 5 o'clock for the arena. Go get on, dressed in the same outfit he had on the night before, and get you 25 rebounds. But that was his job. His job was to set screens and get rebounds. He didn't have to put the ball in the basket. That's why I wasn't big in clubbing, because I had to do a little bit more. But if all you have to do is rebound and set screens, you can party all you want.
But I'm surprised that Jordan, like what he wanted out of teammates, that he would allow, I guess because he's seeing Dennis perform.
And performed against him. Now, remember, he had 2 championships before he came to Chicago.
Yeah.
And Chicago could never get through the bad boys because of Dennis Rodman, Mahorn, Isaiah, Joe Dumars, and those guys. So I think Jordan respected what Rodman was going to bring to the table because of his work ethic.
We'll continue with Reg, a couple other topics, including Tom Brady, Deflategate.
Okay.
I'm curious about
okay.
cheating.
I have a lot of questions about that I'm sure my Danettes will help me fill in the blanks here.
Maybe you can ask me questions.
You're the boss.
But
These
you can
guys-
sit over here, and I'll sit over there.
No,
you can't.
CEO.
No.
COO. Danettes. Okay?
I'm letting you take over the throne
No,
if you want.
No. But I will say this. You knew I was coming in.
I know. I feel bad about this.
You knew I was coming in.
I feel
this
bad, Reg.
This is just like Fritzy not giving me a pound sign. I walk right by Fritzy at the game. Say, hey, Reg, it's Fritz. Nothing. So you knew I was coming in the studio. Not one Indiana Pacer thing. Not one sign, Reggie Miller. Are you serious, guys?
We couldn't find.
Really?
We couldn't find
weak.
Reggie
And you
Miller's
knew
jersey.
I was coming in.
We dropped the ball.
How many times are you going to drop the ball, Fritzy?
That's a lot of ball dropping. There were no excuses. There should have been something Reggie Miller.
Something? Where?
Look above that camera right there.
It's just UCLA. That has nothing to do. That's UCLA. I'm talking about Reggie Miller. Specific.
We got some Spike Lee stuff around here.
Oh, you better not have Spike. If Spike is in here, that's a damn shame.
I think we have a Kevin Harlan photo. In the
I think
back
we
or
got
something.
do the right thing. We got the DVD of Spike Lee.
It's all right. It's all good.
Did
I
he
see
ever
it.
ask you to be in a movie?
Spike?
Yeah.
I believe I have a cameo, and according to Paulie, he's got game.
Yes. Oh, Paulie, is that right that Reg has a cameo?
Yeah, they do a scene where they're like doing a Sports Center hit. They're talking about how great Jesus Shuttlesworth is.
Wait, Reg,
And
you
Reggie
don't
has,
know
like,
that
the
you were in the
last clip he
movie?
just-
It's been a long time. I think I was in the movie. Yeah, I just can't remember where it was shot. He asked me where it was shot. I can't remember. It was so long ago.
Reg is
You were in a
wearing
movie.
polo shirt.
Okay.
Yeah, the polo
shirt.
Your first Adam Sandler movie.
Waterboy
That was your very first one?
Yeah.
Where was that scene shot?
at Sports Center.
Oh.
I'm an actor, Reg.
No.
Yes.
You're a sports aficionado.
No.
You're not an actor.
I am an actor. I'm an actor.
Are you in the one where the Pac-Man and all those creatures come back?
Pixels, yes.
Pixels?
Yes.
You're in that too?
Yeah, shot in Toronto. And I just finished a Western where I'm Abe Lincoln.
What?
Yes. Shot in Santa Fe.
You are an actor.
Yes.
You're a thespian.
Yes,
so
I am.
why is all your shows back east? You need to be out here in Dannywood.
I know, but I'm worried about going to Hollywood.
You just said you're an actor.
I know, but I don't have to be out here.
You're like De Niro,
Yes.
Pacino. You
Yes.
stay in New York.
Bobby and I, we go
got
down
it.
to Tribeca.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Got it.